Welcome to the OpenJ9 community call for July 12th. If you haven't already, please add your name and a company affiliation to the minutes. If anyone has anything urgent they'd like to discuss at the beginning of the call, please speak up. Otherwise, I'll just continue on. We have no lightning talks scheduled for today. Hopefully something in the future. So I'll just take a look at the user-raised issues. I think we did have a couple come through, but they got closed. So there's only one still open in the last 6 days. Another test case on the JIT where we're getting incorrect output. So there's already been a little investigation into that. It's added to the next milestone plan. Does anybody have anything to discuss with the user-raised issues? So then we can get into 033. We do have what looks like some regressions, I believe caused by an OpenSSL acceleration for ECDH key agreement. So those are under investigation. We'll have to figure out if we can fix those in time for the release or we have to pull the feature. So M2 is trying to get started, having some pains getting going, but we should have M2 builds and tests running shortly. Start to triage those. Does anybody have anything else to discuss for 033?
Short question. This is Marius. So what is the deadline for documentation updates for 033?
So in theory, we'll start building our release candidates and running tests next Tuesday. Hopefully by the end of the week or the following Monday, Tuesday, we'll be ready to publish the release. So we'd like to have the doc ready to go by then.
Okay, thanks.
Although, I mean, if there's something that's not quite ready in time, what I've done before is we publish what we have, and then we can always update it.
Okay.
Okay, so for 034, lots of issues in the milestone plan. I think we'll just get into the component updates. Jack, can you take us through Project Loom?
Yes, Pete. So for Loom, there's a slight delay in triaging through the issues with ELS when we're doing thread switching between a virtual thread from a first-time entry to yielding and then re-entering virtual thread execution. Currently, the PR open have been updated and all of the changes have been added, and my basic testing locally have been working fine. So it will be pending a new round of review before merging. I've updated the dates as well. Hopefully that will be done today rather than tomorrow. I am right now investigating the current carrier thread API call, which is causing a yield in continuation entry. Prototyping to re-implement it as an INL to avoid the actual extra JNI call, which may be the reason for blocking the execution. Other than that, currently I think Bepney and Eric have been working on the JVMTI and pinning support for the VM side, which have been going pretty well. GAC have offered some help and investigation into how ELS should work properly. We're expecting there will be some updates either this week or early next week on ELS to have it fully functional in terms of how to correctly handle the changes of ELS between continuations, entry, and yielding. rather than right now we're using a workaround, which is to push a new ELS onto the stack every time we do the re-entry into a continuation. And in terms of GC work, Lin has been working on most of the changes. He have a PR that is almost ready to be merged. He's still working on his side to do some testing before he have a final draft that will be reviewed. From the JIT side, we've heard from Daryl that there isn't much expected in terms of actual functional work from JIT side other than supporting pinning, which he will get into early this week. We should hear back from him probably on our Thursday meeting this week in terms of how much effort that will be. But he did mention that it shouldn't be a lot. That's it for the Loom update.
For the JVMTI work, do we have an estimate of when we think that'll be completed?
Not at this moment. We're still looking into the amount of APIs that would need to be modified in order to fully support the virtual sort changes.
Would it be safe to say that we're not going to be ready by the 25th, 26th?
That is correct. I think it may take quite substantial amount of time based upon the number of functions which are impacted by Loom. So we may go into the double deliver cycle to cover all the functions. At this point, I think we have only covered 5 of 30 impacted functions. 25 are still remaining, so is there a deadline when the double delivery what's the last date for double delivery?
I suspecting we're not going to be branching at our scheduled date, the July 25th. So if we still have so much work to do, it doesn't make sense to do a code split and start double delivering everything. We might even need to discuss delaying the release. What were the numbers you were saying?
So I have more than 30 JVMTI functions which were impacted. I think we have handled 5. And I think 2 are being currently worked on. And I will start picking up a few on my own once the pinning work is complete as well.
Okay, I mean, this sounds to me like a good reason. I suspect everything's going to be delayed. We have a lot of test failure issues that we need to work through. The virtual thread support probably take longer than we think. I'm not going to make the call today, but I suspect we're not going to be shipping 0.34 and we'll end up canceling that release and see if we can hit 0.35 for shipping Java 1901.
Okay.
Does anybody have questions or comments? Do we have Cheng on the call? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not there. Can you hear me, Peter?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Your side, and then in terms of AppCode, and I think it's code changes to keep going. And nothing else. But in terms of song generate code, is there anything you want to add, Darren, in terms of X6 and ZOS?
So on the Z side, Drew's making progress. He thinks he may be able to have a testable driver by the end of the day today, if all goes well. On x86 and AArch64, those implementations are a bit hung up on the just passing structs by value and returning structs by value. I mean, we kind of expected that would be the the sticking point. But we're making progress on that. But no code to deliver just yet. So hopefully within the next week, we'll have things ready to test on those platforms. I'll get an update from Kono-san tomorrow when I meet with him tomorrow night on the AR64 side. But that's where things stand right now.
Okay, anything else? Any questions? I don't think we've had an adopt update in a while. There was this the Adoptium Secure Software Development Framework. If anybody was interested in taking a look at that, and this other project, Salsa. So there'll be work going on related to that. There's going to be a branch of the test environment, hopefully today. So then we'll start using that branch for our 033 release. If anybody else has anything else about Adoptium, as we can move on to machines.
So we've deployed 12 A-Linux at Equinix now. So some of those were existing that have been moved, and some of them are now more clones of that. So watch for new failures there, but they should be fine. OSU still out of machines. We need to spin some up from the image we took.
Or do we?
Well, yeah,
it's good to have backups, but those machines seem slower.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we could just have them as backups in case we lose the primary machine. But
right. Yeah, we can either have them sitting there idle, or we can put them on lowest preference so that they only get jobs if there's overflow.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Put them on lower priority.
Okay. I think I had done that already. Anyways, I'll confirm.
Yeah, maybe they'll be used left often because we have more of the faster machines now.
True.
There didn't seem to be any problems last night, by the way.
Good. Windows machines rebuild. So there still seems to be having intermittent compile failures on the new 2019 machines, which is odd. So we'll still need to investigate what's going on there. Hopefully it's related to, well, thinking it might be related to antivirus still, but I'm not really sure. And I think, did I see the change going to move from 1014 to 1015 for the compile?
Yeah, I put it in before the builds last night, and that all went fine. Although it caused Mac compiles to fail because we had switched to OpenSSL 111Q.
Right.
So Daryl helpfully merged a fix to move Mac back to 111P, so that we could compile. So we could compile Mac again, and I ran a personal build for all platforms on Mac, and it went fine.
Cool. I think that's it then.
I did notice that disk space, we were below 50%, and now it's jumped up to 76-ish%.
Yeah, so when I did that somewhat
78.
accidental cleanup, it was like 7 days. So that'll continue to grow until we get back to the 25 days. And when we get close to the 25 days, we should be close to 100% or more because of those artifacts that would be approaching the 25-day mark that caused us to go over in the first place. So we'll have to keep an eye on it when we get there.
Yeah, I suspect when we do a Java 19 acceptance build, it might use a lot of resources because there's a lot of failures and crashes, and
Okay.
Luckily we don't run too many, maybe once a week or even longer than that now. So yeah, keep an eye on it. Particularly before the weekends, we might have to do some quick cleanup before a weekend so we can get our weekend builds through.
Okay.
CMake. Is Devin on the call? See Devin. I know we made CMake default on 2 platforms, but I don't know why we didn't make it default on the rest of the platforms. So I'll have to catch up with Devin about that at some point. So what we're talking about here is all the regular platforms that we build use CMake, but it's a change to the code so that other platforms that we don't regularly build, like RISC-V, would also use CMake, or any new platforms that come along. JIT server. Marius, do you have anything?
So one thing that we've done is we added encryption for G-server metrics for Prometheus.
And does that work in the 033 branch, or is that just in
No,
the history?
it's going to be in the next one. It's a history at the moment, and it will.
So keep in mind, we might cancel the 034 release, meaning the next release would be 035 in October.
Oh, okay. Well, sure, fine, thanks.
034 would have only been Java 19 anyways.
Yes, yeah.
And then for MicroJIT, we've got the next call report here.
On 14th, we have the next meeting.
Yeah. How's that coming along? Are we making any progress delivering the MicroJIT?
Very, very slow progress. So we're still trying to deliver the first PR. I think Harpreet is working on some testing for MicroJIT as well. Harpreet currently is working remote from India, I believe. Therefore, the progress is
Yeah.
a slower pace than
Time zone issue.
Yeah.
So when the MicroJIT code goes in, would it just be there, that something you could activate if you wanted to? It wouldn't be active by default, would it?
No, you would have to compile it in. So the same as with G-server, you need an option to compile the code in.
I see.
But if you do that, supposedly, yes. At the moment, it's not in a state where you can actually make realistic use of it, because there are still major bytecodes that don't have an implementation. For instance, array ones.
Yeah. So a long-term project.
Right.
Okay, thanks. Toby, CRIU, any updates?
Nothing new to add this week.
Are we still looking at early access July 27?
Yeah, that's still the tentative date. We've got a couple items looking to get in, but yeah, that's what we're aiming for.
Okay, thanks. And then Mac M1, still early access. Daryl, anything that we need to talk about?
No, nothing new there.
Somebody mentioned to me earlier today possibility of Mac M1 being ready for the 4th quarter deliveries. Does that seem realistic? Didn't seem all that realistic to me.
So after JDK 19, we're going to put some focus on implementing compressed references. That's really the last piece that's holding us back from being able to declare that this is a production GA. So the timelines that we were thinking about were, end of the year at the earliest, perhaps JDK 20. Have to see when we get into it a bit more.
Okay, so 4th quarter doesn't sound very realistic then. Because that would be October, meaning that would have to be ready for like end of August kind of thing.
So 4th quarter, that's 0.35 or 3.6. I thought 3.6 was
3.5.
Is 3.6 in December? I don't remember.
3.6 would be in January, shipping in January.
And is that JDK 20?
No, JDK 20 would be March.
And that's
2023.
30. And that's 37.
Sounds right.
Sorry, don't mean to test you. Okay.
Not sure how far.
Right. So October may be a bit aggressive. I guess the 30. fix than in January is.
Yeah, so that would be branching. Trying to find my list. So 36, we're talking about end of November branch date.
Yeah. That's something to shoot for.
Yeah,
We'll,
yeah.
we'll see.
And would we consider taking it out of early access without compressed references? Is compressed references the only thing holding us back? I thought we still had some
It
functional
is.
issues.
I think IBM Semru could do a production release with a large heap only and make that binary available from the Semru site. The expectation being that once compressed references are available, that binary would go away and it would get replaced with a hybrid build. But that may just be a Semru production GA. It may not be a OpenJ9 GA for the on Mac M1. Unless we can do that at OpenJ9 as well, but I'm not sure.
Not
If it makes
quite
sense
sure
to-
what you mean, but maybe it's a discussion better to have outside of the skull.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Does anybody have any other business to discuss today? Otherwise, we'll see everybody next Tuesday.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.